Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about the Torso T-1, a new sequencer, an Euclidean rhythm sequencer that I just got and actually start making me rethink my live setup, especially for the kind of music you were listening before, because it can take care for me all the part in which I would have to insert notes and trigs and whatever that I used to do with and I will do still, but with the Octatrack and a keyboard. Instead, with this small tool, you can actually create very fast, interesting track and variation and transition, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, before going on, as usual, some way you can support the page just by subscribing or buying using the link down below or becoming a Patreon. In Patreon, I actually already released a video in which I talk a little more on how all of these instruments work well together, and I create some track with it, while today we'll just focus only on the demoing the torso. Just to give you an idea what we were listening. The torso is sequencing everything in this moment, so I'm bypassing the Machinedrum sequencer, and I have 4 tracks of Vermona going on, and that's it. Then the sounds go into the Autobaum and clean. Nothing else is happening. While the torso doesn't work at the moment, sending CC messages, it can do some velocity, sustain and accent thing, but for all the CC, like the change of the parameters, I still use the hands-on on this other thing. So basically, these only take care of the sequences. Okay, but what it is torso? So torso is an Euclidean algorithm pattern generator. What means Euclidean? Euclidean means that you can add per track a certain number of pulses that will be evenly distributed in the step you decide. So just to let you see what this means, let's start a new pattern. Whenever you start a pattern, you have 16 bank. Each bank has 16 pattern that you can select, pressing pattern, and then each pattern have 16 tracks that can be sent via MIDI, via with your modular, so via VC, or it can also work as a USB. By the way, I'm using this one with the with Ableton, and it's a great tool because so I have to bypass all the Ableton sequencer that I don't really like because I need to have something hardware in my hands. So if you set up this for Ableton, it's super fun. Another video will come with my setup for that. Okay, so let's say we start with a blank canvas. Now we have 16 tracks. I have the first one. First things you want to do is tell where the signal will go, like are you using MIDI or whatever. Right now we are using MIDI, so you select the channel, and you have 16 channels. So basically these are 1 to 16. So right now I know, for example, let's use the Machinedrum. I just did some upkeeping, so I know that Machinedrum is on channel 9, and then I know that my kick will react to a certain pitch. I'll get back later, this one. So now, if you play, nothing happened because there's no pulses had here. Turning the knob pulses, we start adding pulses. So first one, when you had 2, it will be evenly distributed. So it will go to 1 and 9. These are the step, 1 to 8, 9 to 16. If you add a third one, here we are. So basically, automatically, it will evenly distribute all your pulses and go on. So you can keep adding, as you can see. And let's hear what it does. 1. 2. and so on. So basically, what happened is like you can just start by placing some trig and move forward. Once you digest this way of making sequences, it can be different than what you're used to. I always use like XOX kind of sequencer. This one doesn't work that different, but you know, you have to realize how the Euclidean things work. It's easy anyway. Of course, you can place just by rotating. So basically you press and rotate to add trigs, but you can also press the trig. So even if it's 0 pulses, then you can place your trigs whatever you want. So that's to tell you what is a Euclidean rhythm generator. What happens next is like the torso has a lot of is an algorithmic sequencer, so it has some algorithm that the people at Torso decide, and you can explore different iteration of this algorithm to create musical ideas. And there's so many ways the things can change. But let's go analyzing all the single part of the torso. First part here is called the shape. Shape is where you will add your pulses, you decide the rhythm of the pulses, how the voicing of the pulses will be basing on the pitch you had to that, the repeats, and then you have many other things. Cycle is another interesting thing, and division of the tempo. So it's pretty obvious what's happening. So let's add a sound that is more easy to listen, like maybe this. And remove all the things. So you have this hat going on, and let's put just 4 on the floor pulses. First, you can decide the number of step. Rotating this, now it's 16 step, now it's 15. And you can do as much as you want. And pressing control, you go into a different set of control, and in this case is rotation. So if you press control and then you move pulses, you can move, as you see, the entire sequence by 1 step at a time. So you can create interesting stuff. Repeats, it repeats the note how many times you want, 2, 3. Let's say you want 4 repetition. The second control is offset. It's very nice. It's basically create a ramping up or down on the dynamic of the sound. So if you put it very low, you can actually rotate or also press. This means the coarse, and this is the fine. As you can hear now, the repetition goes down, creating a sort of delay kind of effect. And this is very cool when you start to want to create more dynamic stuff. Then you have time. Time, it decides the time of the repetition. And it could be here division even, or here in triplets. All right. Then voicing and range, this works well with the notes. So let's wait a second on that. Division, again, it's your time division. This would be the 16 step are 16. 1 bar is made by 16. Or you can do in 8. So this goes slower, even slower, and you have all of your classic division, time division. Cycles is whenever you start with a new pattern. For each track, you will have 4 cycles that are completely the same. You can decide how many cycles you want pressing control. It could be just 1, it could be 4 is the default. What this is basically you can select any cycle and decide to change something about it. For example, to let you understand, if the first cycle has just one pulse that does repeats, so that's why you hear more. So let's say first the second cycle we want to have more pulses, and then the third cycle even more pulses, and so on. So as you hear now, one pulses, these should be 4 pulses, and these a lot more. Now, if we remove the repeat, maybe it's easy to understand, but you got the thing. So basically, what can happen is just like you can create a different variation that would be very useful when you start having notes, because you can create, there's an algorithm for chords that will allow you to create more interesting things. Okay, let's move in the note department. So we hear something more interesting and we go towards the other thing. So now I want to control, using the same track, I will send to channel 1, that is my Vermona Perfourmer. I'm gonna turn off all the... I have some effect going on, so let's turn it down. So let's say I want to start from scratch. You can press clear and clear your butt. All right, so now I will have to put new trigs. Okay. So let's say now it works exactly the same as sequencing the Machinedrum, but you will ask me, I want to put some notes, I want something to happen. And here, when the tone part come handy. So first, you can decide the scale you're working on. So let's put minor. The secondary function is the root, because you can then transpose everything, in this case in C. This would be your keyboard. So let's keep it in C, scale minor. And now let's start adding pitches. To add, you just press the pitch button and you have again the scale. Right now it shows you the notes selected. The blue one are the dark notes on the keyboard, and the white one are the white, of course, and the one dimmed are the ones that are not in scale. So let's start adding some thing. And now you will tell, okay, you put 4 notes, but you just hear 1. That's because the T1 can work in 2 systems. One, it's sending the full note as a chord, or it can send the notes as a progression of single note. To set that, you go on voicing, there's style, and here is where you select. The first 2 are chord, and the second one is a single note. All right, simple. Right now, since we didn't put a lot of modifiers and things going on, it will just play the note that you play, that you trig down in an ascending scale. The other style, it changed, it all right, reacting on what you're doing. And bear with me, at the beginning, this system can seem a little weird, but once you get the hold of it, it's to me one of the most fun and rewarding ever. So let's say we put our pitch. Right now we can start see the voicing and the range. Voicing, basically it will change how the machine pick notes basing on your scale. So whenever you press one of these buttons, as you can see, there's the yellow. Count this like you can moving up and down, and you can rotate the knob, or you can just press the button. And as you can hear, now things start happening. You can add some repetition. Let's add repetition with that system offset, so it okay. Range, it's another tool that you can use with voice that will change the note range of your sequence. And phrasing in the end, that is his second modifier, it changes the phrasing style. There's 8 different, and I'm sure they will add more, and each one has a different way on how the note will react. And it's also controllable via CV. There's a CV in, so that's interesting using a modular system. When you have all of these things going on, you can also move now to the groove section. The groove section is the one that decides velocity, sustain, accent, and timing. So velocity, as you can imagine, this is the minimum velocity. Each synth will react in a different way. This is the maximum velocity. The sustain, and the accent, that is interesting. The accent, as you can hear, it falls in different place. It depends on the groove. As you can hear, it creates a very interesting, more dynamic sequence. And then in the end, timing put the things off grid and creating some sort of swing. So we cover that, tone we cover, scale we cover, and then we have the setup part. The setup part, it has few interesting things. Tempo, of course, it has your tempo. Channel, it's where you desire, where you put your MIDI channel. Output, it's where you send out same kind of stuff. Then you have length, and then my favorite button comes from the last. Length, basically, it's a looper inside the loop that you did. So basically, stay on this as a default that is infinite. But you can, as you can hear, you can subdivide and just have fun and grab just a piece of your pattern, of your track, and loop it. It's very fun to perform with it. And this top button, it goes repeat the loop for more than one cycle. Okay, that covers almost everything. And the last thing, it's the random. Random is basically your best friend on this machine. What it does, you can randomize everything. To randomize something, you just press it and then move something. Let's say we want to randomize the pitch. And now it's pitch randomize. Let's say we want to randomize the repeats. For each cycle, some function it will reset per cycle. Some function will reset will go random per step. For example, pulses. We have 4 pulses, right? So what if you randomize that? This change when the cycle is completed. So per cycle, it will decide a new random amount of pulses. One important thing is like you don't really need to understand too much what's happened, because after a while it becomes very organic and you just let the algorithm of the machine helps you. It might seem at the beginning that the control you have it's limited, because the machine puts the tricks for you, even if you can decide. The machine plays your pitch in the way, you know, the algorithm work. But in an idea of working in a improvisational way, where you want to just create something going on and evolve and play with your effect, play with your synth, without having the hassle of putting the notes, the chords and the stuff, this is amazing, and it's super, super fun. So one thing to understand, that the random, it's very interesting, the idea they had. So every time you turn on the machine, you will have for each knob a sequence, an LFO sequence, random LFO sequence. I don't know if it's an LFO, whatever, but it's a random sequence that will stay different per track. That means that when you turn on the random for example, the pitch or whatever, you have that initial sequence set in stone. But you can set random when it's like this, all pink, mean that basically you will keep looping this randomization that has been created at the beginning. If you put it like this, it means that every time it will create a new set of random ideas for each knob. So again, let's say this is what's going on and we want to random pitch. So this is the randomization going on, but it will stay using this LFO that has been created. So basically you have a sort of randomness that is looped, and it's you can expect what happened. But if you want to change that, you press random, and now you go here. And now as you hear, everything changes all the time. So this is a great way to add controlled randomness to what you're doing, and have the chance, though, when you like something, to go stop it and have that randomness be looped. And it's a brilliant idea. So this kind of cover all the everything that this thing can do. Let's hear something, and let's hear also some performance tools. So let me load. So right now I have a 4-track going on. This lower part is my machine drum, and I have one kick, and I can change things on the fly like this. Other than that, I can do that change with the quantize if I want, for example. And right now I'm working on this this kind of clave. I don't know what it would be. Let's go back. If you want one change to happen to the entire machine, then you can press pattern, and now whatever you do here, it will be sent to all tracks. And go back to that. Let's hear it with the with everything going on. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Let's say, yeah. That's not very musical, but to let you understand what's happening. And then you can also stay. Let me add some effects to make it more interesting. This my new setup is like the Vermona going inside the night sky, and that's it. very minimal sound, but I kinda enjoy it. So another, as you just see, you have the chance to change everything for each track pressing pattern. But what if you don't want to mess it up? What you do first, you save your composition, and you just go bank. You would see which bank has to be saved. You just control and press and down. Now it's done, and that's always good. The only things to bear in mind: when you save a pattern, it will stop playing. The machine will save everything until you turn it off. So that's something, if you're used to Elektron, that you need to take care, because sometimes I turn off things and I'm used to Elektron that save everything in its RAM. So that said, let's say I want to mess everything all together, but only temporary. And here is where the temp button works. Temp button allows you to work on, say, one track. Let's do it on the kick right now. Now I had a lot of pulses and I want to remove it. As soon as I remove the temp, everything go back. You can double press it and then mess with everything. And then press it again and go back. That's something I didn't mention before. All of these things, if you double press, it just stay, so you don't have to keep pushing it. Another cool thing, if you want to do a temp but on everything, then you press temp pattern, and now everything will happen on everything. Now what, something happened, because interesting. Oh, that's why one things that it happened a few times of me, and maybe it's the only thing that can distract me. Sometimes I press pattern before the temp, and then basically I change pattern. So it's important to have temp press, then pattern, and then whatever, you come back. So there's definitely some muscle memory that you need to learn in this temporary thing. Another things that I use a lot lately is, for example, I have these things, I muted the kick, and I want to the kick to come back. Then I unmute it, and this will unmute only when I release this. Then I press temp. Now I can mess it up, and then when I leave it, go into the bass pattern, unmuting things. So it's a little, this is probably the trickiest part for now, to work on that, and I'm sure I need to refine my workflow, because it's still early for me on this machine. I have it since 2 weeks, something like that, and I didn't have a lot of time to play until the last few days, when I really was enjoying it. Let me now talk about chords, because we didn't check that. So give me a second, and I will start a new pattern, and we will work this time as chords. So let me set on my Vermona a chord mode. So basically I'm using the full channel, the full Vermona strips, synth voices on channel 1. So select channel 1, and let's put 1 pulse. Actually, let's put 2 pulse. Now I need to put polyphonic mode. As you can see, it changed between my voice, and now let's add Let's add pitches. Let's put a scale. Of course, the way it's always related to the style, how the chord will change. And you can move actually the knob to change the harmony. In this case, Ctrl I, change the harmony. Let me add some drum to have more fun. Again, I know that this is channel 9 and pitch this. Let's randomize. Oh no, I randomized the wrong thing. So you can let the machine decide for you. Now we have a randomization happening in the chords. Maybe we want them go slower. So right now what I had to decide is just the pitch, and then the machine start to play for me. And say I want to change this, what happened. I can use cycles. So the first cycle is that. The second cycle, maybe I want to pitch it higher. Third one, more higher. And fourth one. And here we are. Do I really know what's happening here, what notes are playing? No, but I know that the algorithm in the T1 will take care of that for me. So I can see two ways in which you can use this tool. One would be sit down and just start exploring what the machine created and what you want from the machine. So you start adding pulses if you want. You start adding repeated, you change the pitch, you change the harmony. You can play with the length, loop things. We can play with randomness and keep having the randomness, and then record. So this would be the attitude of a producing thing. So, ad esempio, this sounds very nice to me. And you can have time, you can decide that this sounds great. By the way, this can link to Ableton using link, so it's super simple to set up with the computer. Then you can record your part. For example, now the randomization create weird thing that I enjoy. The other possibility is like an improvisation tool, and that's where I think this really works for me, because right now once you set up your pattern, of course the only things you have to do is like set up all the MIDI channel and whatever. So what you can do is create a a template, and then copy to the other tracks, because you can copy and paste, and then just play. And then just play, and like, now I have to set up thing, but for example, you can start like this. Then maybe you want a lead, so I'm removing track 4 from the chord system, and now I'm gonna place this on channel 4, and I start add some then you can start, say you want to have something going on for everything that it's weird, temporary. You can create a sort of bridge. And then go back to it. And so on and on and on and on. And I'm recording a lot of cool stuff, starting, having a session and just let go and see where you and the machine go together. I really am fascinated when tools like this, you have everything in front of you, there's no menu diving. It needs, of course, some sort of empathy with this guy, and you need to like it. But once you understand how it works, you can go on and really play, have fun, and just record everything. And it works brilliantly. For example, I'm using it a lot with some sample libraries. Lately, I was playing with una corda from Native Instrument, and when you use different track towards the same synth or same instrument, as I do a lot, and I mentioned that before in my video, you can create some incredibly interesting pieces, and that would be it. Like, I would love now to play with a MIDI real piano and this one, and just have an hour performance where I create some composition, and I might do that. Anyway, that's about it. I really recommend this guy. I love sequencer, so I'm sure there's gonna be question about this and the other sequence that I reviewed recently, the Oxy. Where is the Oxy? And I think it's fair to give a quick comparison between the two, and like I love them a lot, both, because this is a more conventional way to put your notes, and you have a lot of more control on everything. It's beast of a synthesizer. It's battery powered, and it works great with modular, and it start becoming a very important composition and producing tool for me. This one has less control over it, but it became super intuitive, super fast for me to create ideas and play live and have improvisation. So I think they complement each other really well. And I have to thank both of the company because they both send me these items to demo and try. And I love to say that they have both of them their own space in the studio. I need my sequencer to be hardware, and I cannot use the computer to sequence things. So these two lead me to very different outcome, and that's why I think having your hands on different sequencer, it's always a cool idea. Of course, then I have the Elektron sequencer that I love too, and I'm super used to it. But I was ending up kinda on the same path over and over. So synth are great, but sequencer are where you sketch your idea and you put down on paper. So they really are the instrument, the tool in which you connect to your synth. So that to me are maybe the most important part of playing, especially if you play live as an improvisational artist. Okay, I hope this was interesting. I'm sure I will go back with some more video using the computer as a sound source. And I know that the guy at Torso, they are working to even improve and add more stuff to this. So I love it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao.